Hello, everybody. It's Sports Guy Ron. I'm here with your Week 12 recap of the NFL games this weekend. The first game we're going to talk about is Green Bay, Minnesota, an NFC North matchup. Green Bay was victorious 23-6. I have the win on that, on the win and the spread. Green Bay goes to 7-3-1. Minnesota falls to 4-7. Minnesota only could manage 145 total yards. They allowed 5 sacks. Green Bay only allowed 1. Minnesota had 3 turnovers. Green Bay had 0. That's pretty much the difference in the game. Green Bay was able to run the ball with their backup running back Emmanuel Wilson. He had a good game. J.J. McCarthy looked lost again as the quarterback for Minnesota, and that was pretty much the game. In the big matchup of the week, Kansas City was able to win 23-20 over Indianapolis in overtime. Kansas City goes to 6-5. Indianapolis is now 8-3. They are actually now being gained on in the division that seemed pretty much decided, is not decided any longer. Kansas City had 494 total yards. Indianapolis had 255. Kansas City overcomes 2 turnovers and 4 sacks allowed. Really, that's what kept Indianapolis in the game, because Indianapolis was outrushed 148-74, or 148-74. It didn't matter. Kansas City did whatever they wanted on offense, pretty much. The only thing Indianapolis's defense did limit them to a bunch of field goals. That and the turnovers kept Indianapolis in the game, allowed it to get to overtime, but Kansas City did come out with the win. I did predict them to win. I took the loss on the spread, though, by half a point. That's a theme this week. I lost a lot of games on the spread by half a point or a point. So a bad week could have been a really good week, but that's how it goes. That's why Vegas is Vegas. In the next game, New England defeated Cincinnati 26-20. Each team had a touchdown return interception. T. Higgins left the game with concussion. He's going to be out for the Thanksgiving Day game. New England was 0 of 2 in the red zone touchdowns versus Cincinnati's defense, which had been poor. But Cincinnati's defense actually played a pretty, they were fired up. They were motivated. They tried to keep New England out of the end zone quite a bit. They played pretty well. Just wasn't enough for them to get a victory. I got the win on the win prediction. I took the L on the loss prediction on the spread prediction by 1 point. New England goes to 10-2. They have the best record in the AFC. Cincinnati falls to 3-8, or pretty much out of playoff contention. In the next game, good game. Chicago defeated Pittsburgh 31-28. Chicago's now 8-3, still leading the NFC North. Pittsburgh falls to 6-5 and is tied with Baltimore at the top of the AFC North. I predicted Chicago to win and to cover, which they did. I got the win on those. Caleb Williams was 19-35 for 239 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was a little bit more erratic than that. It seemed like the stats worked out well. He missed some throws, but otherwise, he's getting the victories. He's playing well. He's playing at a better level than he sure did last year. Pittsburgh's defense, they got a touchdown. A Watt caused a fumble, recovered by Nate Herbig in the end zone. That was their only sack of the game. It was a big one. It did cause a touchdown. Both teams, 3 of 3 touchdowns in the red zone. Neither defense could stop either team once they got to the red zone at all. That's why it was a pretty high-scoring game. So 31-28, Chicago wins, and they now lead the NFC North, and Pittsburgh is now tied for the AFC North because of our next game. Baltimore defeated the New York Jets 23-10. Baltimore 6-5, as I was saying. They're tied with Pittsburgh. Jets fall to 2-9. I took the win on that one. I took the loss by half a point on the spread. Baltimore wins despite it only having 241 total yards. The Jets had 2 turnovers. That helped Baltimore's cause. Baltimore 2-on-2 on fourth down, but only 2 of 11 on third down. Their offense still just isn't right. I still don't think it's a guarantee that they're going to be able to handle Pittsburgh and win the division, although it's trending that way because they're just not playing at a high level. The defense has improved, but they've been playing some offenses that aren't really, top of the line, especially with the Jets and Cleveland the last 2 weeks. Not great offenses for a challenge against Baltimore. We'll see how it goes after that. But Baltimore did get the victory, and they're on to next week. We have an interesting game. Detroit was able to beat the Giants 34-27 in overtime. I got the win on that one. I took the loss on the spread. Story of the game is Jameis Winston, 18-36, so only completed 50% of his passes, but he did make a lot of big plays, 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He also had a touchdown reception. It was an underthrown ball. He actually broke a tackle to make it into the end zone. It was amazing. But the story, Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, a touchdown reception. He dominated the game. Detroit is missing Sam Laporta in the passing game big time. I don't think people realized how much of a loss that was going to be, but it was. Jameson Williams was shut out, no catches. Amon-Ra St. Brown did have a very good game, 9 catches, 149 yards, and a touchdown. But Detroit really needs to sort out their passing game before they get to the end of the season, or they might not make the playoffs. Because as of right now, they are not in a playoff position at 7-4 in the NFC. It's way different than in the AFC. 7-4, they're not even in the playoffs right now. So they've got work to do. One of the teams ahead of them is Seattle in the next game. They defeated Tennessee 30-24. I got the win on that and the win prediction, but I took the loss on the spread prediction, which it's crazy. It was 30-7 or 10 or something like that. Tennessee scored 2 late touchdowns to break the cover there, but Jackson Smith-Njigba, and he continues to be the probably the best wide receiver in the league. Him and George Pickens from Dallas have played really well. 2 of the top receivers this year. Tennessee, they were 6 of 17 on third down, 5 of 7 on fourth downs. That's how many fourth downs they were converting in garbage time against Seattle's defense. I think Seattle's defense was playing soft. I think that's what happened at the end of this game. Seattle was only 2 of 7 on third downs themselves. They did have a punt return touchdown allowed, too, by Tennessee. Kamari DK for Tennessee ran back a punt for a touchdown. All that's included in Seattle neglecting to cover the spread. They should have, but they didn't. But they did get a win and stay in playoff race and in contention in the NFC West. Let's go now to board number 2. Okay, in the 4 o'clock games, we have Jacksonville defeating Arizona 27-24. I got the win on that in the win prediction. I tied that game on the spread prediction. Jacoby Brissett had another strong outing, 35 of 49, 317 yards and a touchdown. Jacksonville overcame 4 Trevor Lawrence turnovers. One was a fumble that was returned for a touchdown that he was hit towards the end zone. The other 3 were interceptions of his. Jacksonville was 3 of 5 in red zone touchdowns. Arizona 1 of 3. That's kind of the difference in the game. Arizona was able to get a field goal to tie it at the end of regulation, but Jacksonville won it with a field goal in overtime. Trevor Lawrence, we're going to have to talk about him. Yes, they're 7-4. Jacksonville, yes, right now they're in a playoff spot. They're strong. They're 1 game behind Indianapolis for the division, but he is not playing consistent football. Some of the throws he makes are fantastic, but then his decision making, you got to question some of the decisions he's making. That's going to hurt them if they're trying to get to a playoff spot. In the next game of 2 teams that have no playoff aspirations this season, We have Cleveland defeating Las Vegas 24-10. I took the L on that. I took Las Vegas as for the win in the spread. Shedeur Sanders' first start, he was solid, 11 of 20 for 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The interception was a bad throw. The touchdown was a short pass that Dylan Sampson ran for a long touchdown. He did make some very good throws down the field, though. He was pressured all day. Cleveland's offensive line is really bad right now, especially the right side. I was noticing on some of the plays that Sanders had to run right out to the right right away because Conklin and Wyatt Teller just did not have a great game against Max Crosby on that side. Which is not surprising, but they were giving up very quick pressures. The good thing with Sanders is he wasn't going backwards, he was going sideways, and he was moving sideways instead of way back in the pocket. That's a positive step for him. Las Vegas, they could do nothing on offense. Cleveland's defense completely overwhelmed Las Vegas. Las Vegas 4 of 17 on third downs, 1 of 3 on fourth downs. They allowed 10 sacks. Yes, 10 sacks. They had 13 penalties. It got their offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, who came from Ohio State, the national champs last year. He is the highest paid coordinator in the game right now after signing that contract. He was fired after the game. The blocking was horrific. Myles Garrett had 3 sacks. Everybody had sacks for it seemed like for the Browns defensive line. 10, that'll tell you. Myles Garrett, he's had 12 sacks the last 3 games. He had 5 against New England's a playoff team, 4 against Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, a possible playoff team, but usually is a playoff team. He did have only 3 in this game. It's only 3, but 12 sacks in 3 games, phenomenal, amazing. But too bad the season isn't going better for the team. He'd get more talk about MVP, not just Defensive Player of the Year. The big NFC East matchup, Dallas came back and won 24-21 over Philadelphia. I did predict that. That was a win for me on the win and the spread. Dallas overcome a 21-0 deficit. As I was talking, George Pickens, 9 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Philly could only muster 63 rushing yards. They had 14 penalties. Saquon Barkley only had 22 rushing yards. That's just not good enough for Philly's running game. I know A.J. Brown was complaining a lot about getting passes. He was getting passes in this game. Hurts, had a pretty good game for Philadelphia passing, but they didn't run the ball at all well, and it ended up getting them a loss. They're now 8-3, which means they're still controlling the division. Dallas did get to 500 at 5-5 and the tie. So we'll see if Dallas can make a playoff push here at the end. There's a lot of teams ahead of them, though, here in the NFC. In NFC South matchup of teams that are struggling, Atlanta was able to defeat New Orleans 24-10. I took the L on that one on both the win and the spread. Atlanta's 4-7. New Orleans is now 2-9. New Orleans, they gave up a touchdown on an interception return, or that's their only touchdown. They did not have an offensive touchdown. The only touchdown New Orleans got out of their 10 points was on a return of a Kirk Cousins interceptions for a touchdown. Alvin Kamara hurt his knee. He did not return. I heard that it was a sprained MCL, so that might be a couple of weeks he might be out. Really, there's not a whole lot to say about this game. Atlanta did enough to win. New Orleans was bad. I know they replaced their kicker. He missed some kicks. Groupie. I think they signed, I saw late that they signed Cade York, the former Browns kicker. So we'll see about that. But this was a forgettable game with the other games that were going on. And that's pretty much all to say about that. In the Sunday night game, the Rams dominated. They won 34-7 over Tampa. I got the win on that prediction. But on the loss on the spread prediction, I thought Tampa would keep it close. They didn't keep it close. Even when Baker Mayfield was in there, the Rams just went all over the Tampa Bay defense. Stafford 25 of 35, 273 and 3. They didn't pass a whole lot in the second half even. Tampa Bay allowed 4 sacks. They had 2 interceptions, 1 of 5 on 4th down conversions. And Baker Mayfield had an injured left shoulder that he left at halftime. It's saying that he has a sprained AC joint. I'm going to warn Tampa Bay fans right now. When he had a issue with his shoulder, his left shoulder in Cleveland, it affected the way he threw the ball. He made a lot more mistakes. I hope that doesn't happen for him now. I'm rooting for him. But you just want to kind of have to watch that. But, we'll see if he's going to be able to play in their next game. It's kind of 50-50 at this point. So we'll see what happens there. Teddy Bridgewater came in. He's at least a veteran that you guys have as a backup. So we'll see what happens there. And in the Monday night game, San Francisco, they beat Carolina 20-9. San Francisco, they only gave up 230 yards of offense to Carolina. Carolina was 1 of 7 on 3rd downs. 5 interceptions between the two teams. Brock Purdy threw 3 in the first half. It probably could have been more than that. He was throwing the ball all over the place. Thank goodness for them for Christian McCaffrey. He had 142 total yards and a touchdown. I did take the win on that, on the win and the spread, because I picked San Francisco. Carolina now falls to 6-6. They're not in the playoff position right now. San Francisco is at 8-4. They're behind the Rams, though, so they're a game and a half behind them. So they've got some ground to still make up there. On bye was Denver, the Chargers, Miami, and Washington. So that's pretty much what happened this week. For the week, I was 11-3 on my win predictions. I'm 118-51-1 now. Really good on the win predictions. On the spread, I was 5-8-1. I had like 4 games where I was half a point or a point off. I could have been like 9-4, but that's not how it works. Vegas makes those lines, and they're pretty good at it, especially this time of the season. 77-96 and 3 ties. So that's the week. We have Thanksgiving week coming up this week. I'm going to put out a video on just the 3 Thursday games and the Friday game as one video, those 4. And then I'm going to add the weekend games as far as combining the weekend games with a recap of Thursday, Friday. I'll do that early Saturday. Okay, so if you like this information, please give the video a like. I'd appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. For those who have, thank you very much. And I will talk to you later.